Yeah, I might have been wrong. Hi, I'm Kitty Monk, and I'm here to talk to you about Disenchantment. Or more specifically, one of the worst parts about Season 3, the Arch-Druidess. Yeah, she's probably also the worst written character in the show. She ticks off every box. She's a wasted opportunity, her motivations seem really confused. And even if she can be funny, she can also be super annoying. Like, really annoying. Like, more than Alpha. And I do not like Alpha. Especially Season 3 Alpha.
Teenagers getting high in the woods again. I'm glad we ran them over.
Now let me just say, in spite of all these videos, I still like to watch Disenchantment. Yeah, it has some flaws, it's not Matt Groening's best work, and they need to iron out a few kinks. But I look forward to it every year, and I have a lot more videos planned out. I still have a video planned out for Merkabur, the only problem is there's a lot to dissect with him.
That's okay, I don't listen to women.
Instead, I'll discuss a character the show tried to make prominent and failed. Let's discuss. The Arch-Druidess is in charge of Dreamland's religion. Up until Season 2, she only really makes cameos. She doesn't do anything major to further the plot until the end of Season 2, but don't worry, we'll get there. She first appears in the pilot to officiate Bean's wedding. Off the bat, I love her design, but then she gives her sermon.
Nobody knows anything for sure, but if I talk with confidence, you dopes will believe anything I say.
Yeah, it's a Matt Groening show, you know he's gonna make fun of religion and not be subtle.
Scapegoating. Finally, this religion is going somewhere.
But I don't like how they do it with her. Not because I'm personally offended, I'm just kind of phased. Some of the jokes they do with religion in the show are funny.
Blasphemer! How dare you bring logic into God's house?
But with the Arch-Druidess, they make no sense in terms of the world. Dreamland is a world of magical creatures. Episode 1 had an elf walk into a church. Dagmar was turned to stone. The world's foremost exorcist is friends with Oddball. There's literal witches, and yet she has the nerve to say witches don't exist?
Would Tia Beanie actually be a witch?
No such thing. You know it's just a good excuse to dispose of all the weirdos and freethinkers and—
How does she justify being right when there's literal proof right in front of her? It's like saying the earth is flat. Shouldn't she be having a crisis or become a bored again, whatever, because of all this? I think one reason I dislike her is because I hate shows that have characters who bash religion, because usually their arguments make no sense from a world-building standpoint. I don't care if they make fun of religion, but most of the time they feel like cheap jokes or mouthpieces. South Park, I guess that's kind of the point, especially in that two-parter.
Afraid it was the Mormons. Yes, the Mormons were the correct answer.
Futurama, it's more science-based and there's a robot devil, not an actual devil, so they can kind of get away with that.
I mean, heck, it's alright, you can say that here.
And all of this makes even less sense considering what we learn later. If I had to describe the Arch-Druidess, think Mom for Futurama if Mom was a priest.
You're not a bitter—
Cram it, ape!
It sounds funny, but the execution in the show is horrible. The Arch-Druidess doesn't really do anything most of the time besides hang out in the background, and that is a real crime. One way you rescue somebody from the scrappy heap is by giving them more of a presence. And out of all the characters, you really could have given the Arch-Druidess her own episode.
You may be tempted to assign blame to just one person. So let's do that, shall we?
Remember that one episode where Bean becomes a nun? What if instead of Zog sending her to a convent, he sends her to the Arch-Druidess? Or the convent dumps her on the Arch-Druidess and the Arch-Druidess tries to convert Bean? Or Bean becomes her assistant, only to get thrown out at the end? Or what if Zog thinks that Bean's still possessed so he has the Arch-Druidess follow her around? Or what if she's part of the council? Yeah, I know they have the whole women cannot speak in the council chambers, it's the law thing, but the Arch-Druidess could get a pass because of her role. She could look down on Bean and Una for it. They could have made her like Margaret Thatcher in The Crown.
I have found women in general tend not to be suited to high office. They become too emotional.
I'm not trying to be political, it's a great show if you like history. Or why not make her somebody that opposes stuff, like a soapbox Sadie? Whenever Bean tries to champion something like theater or politics, the Arch-Druidess could be right there to stop it. Or what if she's the exorcist and not Big Joe? All of these ideas I gave, it's so sad once you see what they actually do with her. The only actual thing she does for most of the show is divorce Zog and Una.
Divorce!
And yes, this will be relevant later. In the last episode of Season 2, the Arch-Druidess disappears. It turns out she's a member of the Cookie Club. I'm sorry, I cannot say the name. This reveal would be cool, but it just seems like they're trying to give her relevance for no reason. It happens way too late. The whole reveal that Oddball's secretly Derek's guardian was awesome though. Although, why not reveal that stuff earlier? Like, at the end of the episode where they have the divorce. Have a wham shot of the Arch-Druidess or something. The more I think about it, the more the Arch-Druidess seems like the weirdest character to have be secretly in cahoots with Oddball. Zog and Bean aren't all that religious. When Zog needed elf's blood, he went to Sorzario. not the Arch-Druidess. Wouldn't it be smarter to have Stereo be in that role instead? We knew from the start he was part of the secret society. It'd be the best chance to give him something to do. This doesn't mean they couldn't have the Arch-Druidess in the plot, though. They could have always made her the third member of their team. But you know what happens, and you know that whole fiasco. Sucks what happens after, though. Oddball and the Arch-Druidess turned Dreamland into an oppressive theocracy, which also makes no sense. The Arch-Druidess already controls the people through her church. Why get rid of so much stuff? They already controlled Derek. They basically control the kingdom. Nobody liked Zog anyway. Have you ever watched Game of Thrones? I think the whole point of the Arch-Druidess was to make fun of the High Sparrow. But if that's true, it seems like a big misunderstanding. The whole point about the High Sparrow and a reason why they couldn't defeat him was because he wasn't a fraud. He was genuine.
It's only a name. Quite an easy burden to bear.
Even when they tried to buy his loyalty, he didn't care. He refused, and he was polite about it. I can buy the High Sparrow getting rid of alcohol and fun because he outright said that's what he wanted to do. The Arch-Druidess, it just seems like they're trying to add more conflict by having her do this. Regardless, the Arch-Druidess goes through lengths to make sure her rule is assured. Yeah, you know that whole fiasco, and we finally make it to Derek's wedding. It turns out the Arch-Druidess killed Pendergast because, that wasn't super obvious! And she has a gun on her person. When spotted, she breaks out in a motorcycle. This whole scene, it's set up to be cool like the reveal at Dagmar, but it makes no sense. Bean chases her to Steamland, and we finally learn the truth. The Arch-Druidess was a mole sent by Steamland to lure Bean to Alva Gunderson. I don't even know how to articulate my feelings, and again, I don't want to repeat myself because I've been doing that a lot in this review, but that makes no sense. In-universe, out-of-universe, in any universe. It comes out of nowhere just so they can have a way to force back in Steamland. One complaint I think everybody gives the show, regardless if you like it or not, is it's pretty clear they're making things up as they go along. And this isn't me being harsh, the show outright lampshades it.
Conspiracy, and while some of the plot seems like they're thinking of it on the fly, there's obviously something deeper they've planned all along.
Disenchantment, I'm sure they knew a few plot points ahead of time, like Dagmar coming back to life, but I wouldn't be surprised if an equal amount got made up as they went along, or until it was convenient for them to do it. Why is the prophecy super vague? Because even they don't know. Steamland, I think it was in the cards since the beginning of the show. There is a blimp in the background of episode 1. But the whole idea of the Arch-Druidess was a bad way for them to reintroduce Steamland. The idea of a mole, I guess that could work, but the Arch-Druidess is the worst character to pick for that role, all things considered. Why not make it Mop Girl? Wait, no, it can't be Mop Girl. She's the true leader of Dreamland. It can't be her. So, why not Bunty, or Miss Moonpence, or Bunty Jr.? Why did it have to be the Arch-Druidess? Why couldn't it have not been Dagmar? It could be why she's so serious about keeping Bean to herself. Maybe Alva wants to fulfill the prophecy too, and he needs Bean, but then Dagmar loses out. Alva said the whole purpose of the Arch-Druidess was to get Bean to come back to Steamland, but that makes no sense. I get that Alva's a liar, but that seemed to be the whole reason she was there. In Dreamland, her and Bean have no relationship at all. And I said before, but Zog and Bean really aren't ones for the church. Isn't like the Arch-Druidess was Bean's handmaid or trying to influence her or something. She was even mad that Bean stole stuff from the royal tomb. Wouldn't that kind of help the Arch-Druidess? But this isn't the only can of worms. When Bean escapes the wedding, why didn't the Arch-Druidess go to Bean and be like, look, you want to be free? I'll show you to Steamland. At most, she's in the secret society, but that also makes no sense. The secret society wants to get rid of Bean, so why did the Arch-Druidess let Oddball burn her at the stake? Why not find a way to get Bean to go back to Steamland? Or why did she try to enforce a rule on Dreamland? As far as she knows, Bean's gone. So why not hightail it back to Steamland and say she failed? Once we get this whole reveal, we learn nothing new about her. I don't mean like her complicated backstory, but couldn't we at least gotten a look at her real face or her real name? Depending on your definition, sadly this is the last we see of her. Alva orders his robot to take her away, and we hear her final words.
No, you don't trust me, but whatever you do, do not trust him.
We really didn't need that. Bean was gonna find that out anyway. I'm sure you're expecting another big reveal. Maybe the Arch-Druidess bursts out of prison and helps Bean escape, but that never happens. She's just forgotten about. What can I say? Goodbye, Arch-Druidess. I have a feeling they might bring you back in season 4, but until then, you won't be missed.